Alright, it's the start of a new season. Last year we got pretty damn close but fell short. This year, we're in prime position to run it back. Here we go, Good Neighbor Sports. Alright, look, here's the thing. Buffalo Bills, they know how to win, so considering that, we're picking almost last, sit back, relax until the pick is in. Good Neighbor Sports, here we back again. Tell your mom, tell your dad, tell all your friends, and to our new rookies, you lucky as hell, because the Super Bowl in Vegas, we will attend. Oh yeah. You can catch me at a few games this season. Hell, you can probably catch me at all the home games. Alright, go Bills.
All right, folks, we're back. I hope you liked that fun intro. I had fun making it. It's been a while. It's about time for another Good Neighbor Sports video, but, it's the off-season. There wasn't too much to talk about. It wasn't as grandiose as last year's off-season, but, there's some notable things to mention. Our man Big Baller Beane has been out there putting in the work. This is his regular season, so we'll get all right into it. But this is the Bills fans' guide to the 2021 NFL Draft. Let's get right into it. Now, first, before we do get into the draft, let's talk a little bit about what happened during the offseason, because there is a little bit of catching up to do. On our offense, we've re-signed offensive tackle Darrell Williams and John Feliciano. Both of those are big re-signings. I'm happy to see veteran players still lining up in front of Josh Allen. It's good to have him in a little bit of a comfort zone up there. Hopefully they can both pull out some breakout seasons. We'll get into it later, but our offensive line is going to need some help in the draft. So it is good to, get some reassurance, some insurance on our offensive line with Williams and Feliciano. Moving on to the defense, we re-signed Matt Milano. That's huge. And then we also re-signed Levi Wallace. He seems to really be loving Buffalo, and I love to see it. It's good to have him back. We'll get into it later, as I mentioned before, but our cornerback position is lacking depth. Obviously, we don't got to worry about Trey White. He's locked up for the future. That man is an absolute stud. Levi Wallace, I like him too. It's good to have him back, but maybe in the draft we'll pick up a few more corners. But Matt Milano is a huge re-signing. I'm happy to have him back. The Bills do really well when he's playing and he's healthy, so just be on the lookout for a healthy Matt Milano that has a breakout season. It's, our defense was lacking last year, and if we can get that back in line, we're going to be a force to be reckoned with. Now, a few more of the interesting pickups. We got Mitch Trubisky and we got Emmanuel Sanders on our roster. Now, we know Mitch Trubisky, he's not planning to stay here long, probably just a year, backing up Josh Allen, which is cool. I think Trubisky and Allen are quite similar in quarterbacking style, and Trubisky didn't have a great opportunity over there in Chicago. So, maybe he can get on his feet here in Buffalo and we'll ship him off to a starting job somewhere in the future. And then Emmanuel Sanders. I'm really excited about this one. We're getting a 3-time Super Bowl appearing wide receiver for 3 different teams. So this man's been there before. It's good to have that presence in the locker room. And, it's just going to add to our high-power offense. Now, potentially the biggest thing that I think happened over the offseason is we retained Brian Daboll and Leslie Frazier. Both of those men could have had head coaching positions somewhere in the league, considering there were so many positions available. But the fact that we have Brian Daboll alongside Josh Allen for another year is huge. We've seen the pair together for the first 3 years of Josh Allen's career. So good to have him for a 4th. I'm loving Daboll. Hopefully he has some tricks up his sleeve to make our offense even better than it was last year. Get Josh Allen that well-deserved MVP. Now for the sad news, we got rid of John Brown and Andre Roberts, amongst others, but these two are the big ones for me. John Brown was a huge part of the Bills' success. The whole process going from zero to hero. John Brown has been there. He's been consistent. He's helped Josh Allen's progression majorly, and you can't discount him. I wish him the best. And Andre Roberts, he made kickoffs exciting to watch in a league where that's not the case. I've always loved Andre Roberts. Got to see him at the Pro Bowl. The man's a unit. So good luck to him, and It's sad to see those two go. Now, on to the draft. Now, unlike most seasons, this draft won't be as exciting as usual. Usually we're picking within the top 10, and, we have to be on the lookout for who we might want if we want to trade up, etc. The Bills are good now. As mentioned in that little bit of a rap, we know how to win, so we're picking almost last. We're picking 30th, so I'm not even going to do a mock draft because, it's literally just my opinion, and who cares about that, right? The Bills probably, and I'll mention, certain positions they want to pick up, but if a star player falls to them by sheer luck, expect them to take them. All right, first off, the offensive line. Like I mentioned before, we're going to need some depth in this area. The outside is pretty sturdy with Dawkins and Williams, so that's good to see, but our interior needs some help, needs some depth, so expect to use maybe a early pick on an offensive lineman. Now, Feliciano, love the guy, but he's got to stay healthy and he's got to have a breakout season. He's got to make sure Josh Allen's got that help inside the pocket so he's not scrambling too much. Now, we love the plays where Allen's making room for himself, making plays happen with his legs. But the more that he can sit in the pocket and just launch the rocket of an arm he has, the better chance we have. Our defense has decent depth with a lot of promising players that could just really use a breakout season, really need to step up to the plate. Think Edmonds, Oliver, Epinesa. These are all great talents, and hopefully, if all things line up right, those three can absolutely ball out and send our defense to another top 10 defense in the league. That's what we're looking for. If we can have a top 10 defense in the league, Buffalo is going to be unstoppable. Now, we should get Star Lotulelei back. He opted out last season, so it'll be good to have him back. But the defensive line, much like the offensive line, could use some depth, so expect a draft pick used for the defensive line. Our edges, Addison and Hughes, are going to be free agents next year. So, expect some good edge rushing drafting. If a really good edge rusher falls to Buffalo, I wouldn't be surprised to see them pick an edge rusher 30th overall. That would be huge. That was a big problem we kind of had on defense this previous season, was there wasn't too much pass rush. We were allowing the quarterback to just sit in the pocket and make passes and relying on our corners and secondary to make plays. And, the more that we can get pressure on the quarterback before the ball is thrown, the more mistakes our opponents are going to make. And our defense, we should up the turnovers for next year for sure. I'm not complaining with that Taron Johnson pick 6 in the playoffs. We got to see a whole lot more of those though. And again, like mentioned before, we could use some depth in our cornerback position. So, if a good corner falls to us in the draft, also look to see a pick used on them. Now, additionally, a new tight end would be pretty interesting. If we could draft a tight end, and maybe Dable will implement tight ends into the offense like the Chiefs do, like the Raiders do. It would be good to have a powerful receiving tight end that we haven't really seen. If Knox steps up, that'd be great, but, a young tight end, if one falls to us, expect it. Now, what's going to be interesting for me to see is, obviously I'm going to be paying attention to what the Bills do on draft night, but it's going to be really interesting to see what the Jets, Dolphins, and Patriots do. Now, obviously the Jets have a really early pick. The Dolphins traded out from their super early pick, but then traded back in for, I think, the 10th overall pick. So it's going to be interesting to see what players they're bringing to the AFC East next season. And that's about it. Now, in other offseason news, we picked up a additional home game against the Washington football team. Now, the Washington football team is kind of like the tallest man in the midget parade in the NFC West, the worst division in football ever. So, it's a welcome sight to have them at home for our 17th game. It's going to be interesting to see how 17 games really plays out, because a lot of records are going to be broken. We're going to have to put asterisks around how Josh Allen threw for 60 touchdowns. So we'll see. All right, short and sweet. That's all we got for you today. The Buffalo Bills have a bright future ahead of them, and, the rookies that we get onto our team should feel lucky as hell, because, in years past, we were a drinking town with a football problem, and now we're a football town with a ring problem, and we drink along the way. But, it won't be long till we get our ring. And, let's just look out for it and have a great season. Be good to your neighbors and go Bills.